Okay. Oh, there we go. Hi, my name is Raven Osteen, and this is week 3, discussion 2 topic. This is my client Beth, and we will be doing our session. Thank you. Hi, Beth. It's nice seeing you today. And you were talking last week about how you were not having organizational skills. And have you had a chance to think about some of the suggestions that were made that we came up with together, like maybe using a clipboard or?
I have actually. I've come up with some ideas in my head and just kind of thought about how I would approach the instructor, kind of like we had talked about, because that was kind of one of my barriers.
Right.
But I'm still struggling a little bit to get it going, just because I do know that like the system has that big barrier. So
Right.
I'm still mulling it around and
Okay.
thinking of what I need to do and where I need to be on that. So
Okay, so you say that you're struggling. In what area are you struggling? Like trying to come up with an organization, skill, or like putting everything in categories, or
I think just with
just
the
getting it
time,
together?
I think just with the time management and just knowing that realistically there's so many things that have to be put on there.
Right.
And the 19 hours a week is just a struggle for me. And I think just even just like getting over the fact that I've come up with systems in the past and I've done it. I mean, even for Christmas, my mom bought me an organizational thing so I could keep things in with the idea of it. And of course, nothing goes in there, you know, because as I'm going throughout my day, there's just no time to get that together and to put that in.
Right.
And once I have even a checklist, again, like we kind of talked about last time, it's just always a constant reprioritizing. And so even when I get planners or anything like that in the past, it's always just not worked for me because I'll get them and then I'll never write anything because it's like scratch this out, scratch that out. And I don't like that.
Okay.
So I'm not sure, but it's frustrating to not have that. And it's frustrating because then I get told like, oh, Beth, you need a system. Okay, with what? Because any system I come up with, it gets just completely bombarded.
Right.
So
Okay.
it's like I think like if I've thought about it most, I think the biggest thing that I need to do is just set boundaries and just be like, okay, from this time to this time, like I literally have 30 minutes of office time to get questions answered, sit at my desk, read any important emails that are done, and then just throughout the day, whatever else happens, I can let it fluctuate pretty much. Or just even having a long list of things and being like, when it comes up that what are you doing or this or that, oh, here's my long list of things that I have to do.
Okay. So it sounds like setting those boundaries are kind of like a little bit of a hard thing for you to get at least set up, to get set up.
Yeah.
So if you were to take time out of your day, like say maybe a half an hour to an hour, or 45 minutes at least, because that's not too short or too long, at what part of the day would you set that boundary to do the first thing?
I think right when I get into work, I think that would be the most appropriate time so that I can get organized, at least somewhat have an idea of the overall picture like we talked about last time, get kind of at least an overall view of the day so then I can say if there's anything that's pressing, no, you know, hold on, then I can prioritize a little better, I think.
Okay.
I think that that's, you know, the best way to kind of go. Because if there's certain things that have to get done today, then I can say, okay, this is my time to do it. And then everything else, if it's not a crisis or it's not an emergency, I can say, hold the brakes.
Yeah, that
Because
sounds
my
like
brakes
a,
are a little squeaky right now.
yeah, that sounds like a good start.
Yeah.
Right there. So maybe like carrying like, again, a clipboard to say, okay, this time to this time, this is what I'm gonna do. So that way you have that visual. Do you think that might assist you in that, or?
I think it might. I think a notebook might work really
Okay.
well for me if I organize maybe like a notebook and put in like tabs and kind of put them like projects, put them in like to-do lists, put them in just, you know, like contacts, kind of organized it that way, so that I can kind of just go through and I can liberally put things in their categories, but it's not so bound tight that it necessarily, it holds me to it, but it doesn't hold me
To it.
yeah, that
Okay.
if something needs to change or shift, I can easily go in, I can highlight things, they can erase things, I can
Yeah,
kind of do what I need to do
That
with that,
sounds
I
like-
think that.
that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah,
And, so let's say on a scale from 1 to 5, 5 being not doing it, where do you see yourself in that area of getting it done?
I think I can make time to do it, so I think I'm probably at a, you said a 5 was ability
Not
to get it?
Not
Not
doing
doing it.
Not
Oh,
doing
well, I'm definitely at not doing it.
Okay.
So I'm probably at about a 2
Two?
of getting it
Okay.
done and being able to do it. I think
Okay.
if I set time to be able to do that,
Okay.
I think that will really help too with stress and other organizational things as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it sounds like that you got a plan going. It sounds like you got a section of time that you're willing to set aside for certain projects and stuff like that to stay organized. So that sounds good. It sounds like that you are at that point of getting everything started. So how can we make that 2 into a 1 to get you started?
That's a good question. I haven't really thought about that. I mean, just really just with all my other time management restraints, just saying, you know, same thing, kind of similar thing, boundaries with other people and saying, hold on, I gotta get my stuff done so that I can get organized. And again, just really allowing myself that time to be able to do that, I think is the biggest part of that. I think if I'm really, really thinking about it, I think boundaries in my life are my biggest
Okay.
thing, and just saying, you know, hold on, I gotta get my stuff done so that everything else can fit
Okay.
into it. So I think instead of just filling my schedule with everything else, just being like, nope, this is my time, my designated time to fit.
Okay, so let's talk about the boundaries for a quick second.
Okay.
Okay, so you're saying that boundaries are kind of hard for you to set, or at least to stay with.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm hearing you say if you were able to stay, no, I got this time for this and this time for that. What would get you to get one boundary set up? Like, say, for example, from this time to this time on your days off is designated for this. Because last session we talked about doing the laundry and stuff, and I suggested maybe, an hour, maybe an hour and 45 minutes, this is just for laundry from start to finish, putting them away and stuff like that. And so we talked about that, and then maybe, I don't know, have you thought about other days, parts of the day that you may want to set up boundaries for certain things, or?
I think it's just what I think I struggle with the most is just maybe it's even my own boredom with having to do with what I have to do.
Right.
That allows me to go and be like, oh, this is more fun, and
Yeah.
distracts me from what I need to do. But I think maybe even, just letting people know, like, this is my time. And the times that I have said no, like if I had a meeting, like the other day I had to prepare for a meeting at work, and we had to have stats, and it was a very important meeting. So, even though I had to be in and out of the classrooms, when students came up and were like, oh, here's a piece of paper, oh, here's a piece of paper, I was like, nope, can't do it, gotta have a really important meeting done, so maybe even if I just took my aspect of that thought of, even though this isn't the most important thing, it's still important to be able to be successful for everything I have to do. So
Right. Okay.
maybe if I changed my thought pattern of, is this an emergency? If it's an emergency and we need fire extinguishers and we got to get everybody out of the building or out of our house or whatever else, or obviously if somebody needs to be rushed to the hospital, that's an emergency. Obviously that comes first,
Right.
but anything else, oh hey, can this wait an hour or 2 hours? Can this wait 45 minutes? Maybe even just letting somebody know, like, hey, I'm going to be in my office for 45 minutes. If it's an absolute emergency, come see me, but I need this time. So maybe just being more communicative. Is that a word?
Yes. I understand what you're saying.
Is that a word?
Today
With my
it is.
needs and just saying, just really expressing that, so that I can get my stuff done and set up.
That sounds like a really good plan.
Yeah.
It does. It does. It sounds doable. Do you
I
think
think
it's doable, or?
I think it's doable. I think with practice I can get better at it. In work, that's kind of what's been successful with me.
Okay.
And just learning, it's hard to tell the students no.
I'm sure it is.
But learning how to say, no, this comes first. Because realistically, if I don't say, no, this comes first, even with my friends or anything else, no, this comes first, then I'm not really being present for them, and I'm not
Right.
getting their needs met or my needs met. And I'm here and there, and I'm just bouncing all over the place.
Well, it does sound like you have a good plan started. It sounds like you got an idea of the type of boundaries that you're wanting to set. That's what I'm hearing. It also sounds like that sometimes the students get a little pushy about do this for me, and you recognizing that I need to step back and say no. And sometimes it might be a little hard to say that to the students, and I hear that. So again, it sounds like you got a good plan started, and that's really great. And so now working with students and everything, do you find that hard for you too to really put your foot down and say no, I got to get this done? Or do you find that,
I think it's somewhat hard for me to put my foot down because the students are why I have my job. So the students are my top priority, but I think the biggest struggle to putting my foot down is that there's so much that I have to do for the students. And so I have students in my face, but then I have the tasks of looking at their grades, making sure that those are okay. Outreach, then if a student needs a plan, while I'm doing that, then I gotta meet with the student, and I can't really, and the flow is just so, it changes constantly.
Right.
And so trying to put my foot down in that flow is hard, and then knowing that that's my job and I only have 19 hours to do it, and I'd rather get that done while I'm there so that I can meet with the student instead of feeling like they're going to email me on my days off or whatever else, and then that has to get put to the side for 3 days. That's where it's hard.
Okay.
And that's where it's hard to set the boundaries, because it's like after 19 hours a week, I've done my time in the week. At school, I've mostly fulfilled my time, and that's where I'm supposed to be.
We got one more minute.
And at my time where we're supposed to be. And so it's like, it's not that the students, it's hard to put my foot down, it's just the structure, it's hard to put my foot down.
Okay.
And I think it's the demands of me that are hard to put on. But then I think it's also my self-demands that tell me, you have to do this, or
You're
you
driven.
have to do that, or you're feeling.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I think part of it is too, is I have to be more realistic with my time
Yes.
and say, you know, in general, across the board, with my home life, I have to be realistic with my home life. This is what it takes to really run my home successfully, be successful in my home life and my work life. This is how much time I have to do, so I gotta maximize my time, and I gotta put my foot down sometimes and say, okay, that person doesn't know how to access Word. Okay, that's not my priority right now. I can send them to the tutoring center and they
Right.
need to go to the tutoring center.
Right.
Or, you know, unless this person, you know, really is far behind, okay, you know, that might be my priority, but first I gotta be in class, get the videos done, upload that. I gotta figure out the technology stuff, because without that, they're gonna have more frustrations too. So just kind of being realistic, I think, with time management and the time that it actually takes things, and my expectations of what I can get done in
Yeah.
there. I can't expect myself to do 40 hours a week in 19.
Right.
Right. And I think I have to set that boundary, talking about communication more clearly,
Yes.
saying,
Well, it does sound like you got a plan, and it does sound like that you are recognizing, you know, what needs to be done. You're also, sounds like that you're recognizing that you are limited on certain things, and it sounds like that you really see that no is gonna be a priority word for you for a little bit until you get acclimated or structured in your organization.
if I say no, people are just gonna cry and they're just gonna just go off the deep end and they're just gonna,
Well, you know.
I'm just gonna cry with them. I'm gonna sit on the floor and I'm just gonna pound my fist with them.
There you go. There you go. I appreciate you coming in today.
Thank you.
And that concludes our session. Do you want to shut it off?